I am Richard Raaphorst. I am the director of Frankenstein's Army. I think it's a movie from 2013. And it's a movie about madness and war, packed up in a found footage film. Frankenstein's Army is about a Russian squad trying to find the secret weapon of the Nazis, and it seems to be the infamous Frankenstein himself collaborating with the Nazis to create a super army of zombots, a crossover between zombies and robots, to create an undefeatable army. And obviously, it all goes wrong. Since I am a child, I'm scared shitless of war, because my teacher said, my teacher, I was the age of 14 or something, maybe even earlier, 12. He said, there's not a generation that didn't experience a war. So it's just a matter of time. So I was absolutely traumatized by his words, because sooner or later I thought, okay, sooner or later they will drop the bomb. And so I started to have nightmares, and I got scared, and so forth. And so I started to make those drawings of monster soldiers. And I just kept doing this, like little doodles in your agenda, not pay attention in class, making those little drawings. And eventually all those drawings, because I also started to work as in the advertising branch as a storyboarder, I started to develop a story just based on the drawings. And first it became worst case scenario. And at the time I started also directing myself, and I directed 2 trailers of worst case scenario. But something went wrong with the rights and I lost everything. And then I got stuck in development hell, because I wanted to develop a feature film called Worst Case Scenario. And I saw the famous quote of Francis Ford Coppola, 180. It was at an agency also called 180. If you're stuck, really stuck, just rotate 180, go full force, but just rotate all the polars. So the Americans became Russians, the present became the past, the beautiful handheld camera movements became found footage. And I made 2 new trailers, and it got noticed by XYZ, and XYZ introduced me to MPI. And 1 year later, I was standing on the set. So yeah, it was like, what the fuck is happening? And basically it all came down from just doodles turned into a sequence, turning into a story. And the only story I wanted to tell was that, okay, if there's a war, the thing that scares me the most about war is that people are turning into monsters and making monsters again, because they gave orders to someone else, and you become basically a machine. So I had a premise in mind that about monsters making monsters, making monsters, making monsters. And this I wanted to visualize, literally in spiraling down in just madness, like a roller coaster ride through the funhouse. And that's really what it's about. It's a roller coaster. It's a funhouse trip to the madness of war. Yeah, it was really extremely amazing. And there was one thing that I didn't took in account, because after each take you have to do a playback. But the playback of such long takes is like 4 or 5 minutes. So your time is really rapidly burning away. And if you also need to do all the cues and all the monsters in the suits and all the practical effects just in place, just in timing, I thought it's going to be next door to impossible. So I decided to make the whole movie in a miniature. Like the entire factory you saw, I built it in a miniature, like this carton box complex. And I made little puppets, including the camera operator who was just filming everything. And the whole crew, we were just navigating through all the, like a little playbook through the entire complex, where to stood, where what would happen, where, because a storyboard would not be enough. And so it was also like a big rehearsal for myself, that I would absolutely know where what would happen. So yeah, this is how this is how I managed it, and I think we could only afford like 3 or 4 takes for each. Yeah, at the end we just cut it. Yeah, but it was super. I really underestimated that. And the second week, I became ill, but I just needed to continue, and it was like in this mining complex in the Czech Republic. It was all real, but it just needed to combine everything in my head. I There was just one day with a lot of action, a lot of monsters, and I was thinking, why do I work so hard to get me into this nightmare? I was like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not going to be a plumber or whatever, a postman? But when I was over the tip, then I really felt the vibe, and then it becomes just a way of living, and then I really was in my element, and it was great. And Caro Rodin also was fantastic. He was really like this mysterious guy on set, but he was just wonderful, and that gave me so much energy. So the first half was really like tough, but the second part, I was getting, yeah, I got my groove. Well, of course, I started designing as a child, so believe it or not, I think a lot came from Star Wars. I know, but it goes through all those phases. But I wanted to have like, okay, Frankenstein in my story had a toy factory. So I wanted to make them look like big war toys. So that's why they look a bit chunky, and it's just, something you could. And So how it works in my head is I was walking on my on my when I was bringing my kids to school. I saw one kid with a backpack on his back with a Spitfire, and I thought, okay, what if I just take the propeller of the Spitfire and put it on someone's head? And how would that look? And I thought, no, no, it's too bizarre. So let's do it, because I knew when I was crossing the line, it will be probably a very good idea. And I discussed it with my special effects team, and I said, "Is this possible?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, sure, why not?" So we did it, and I think propeller head is one of my favorites. Yeah, it's so extreme, and yet it's so I mean, for me, it makes total sense. You have a weapon at head, you can just mow through everything. So yes, well, filmmaking has a lot of dark moments because it's a world of rejection. Right. And rejection feels like being ghosted. It can become very toxic. It can be very lonely. You feel misunderstood, and it's very difficult to find the right partners on the same level. But if you really want to commit to it, then you must really focus on that one single thing you want to tell, like those 3 sentences, like this, really like this pearl you are diving in the deep on the bottom, this little thing. And if you can communicate what it's about, then you make everything else a lot easier. Because if your pitch is a bit blurry, or if it's a bit unclear or uncertain, then you cannot, get a team on board that will fight with you. And so you really need to focus on that core thing. And second, always stay polite, always stay friendly, also to yourself. You know, ne- Never fall in the trap of, and I wanted this and they did that. No, 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 no. Stay polite, and even when they become nasty, always stay on the bright side. And then it can be a lot of fun, and it can be very inspiring. And when it goes well, and you can develop the creative process with others, because it's very social activity, you're just flying. It's flying.